everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Cuban Assassin Podcast. I'm your host, Richie Acevedo, but I'm also known as the Cuban Assassin. Last time on our podcast, we talked about the miracle phone call that got me from being sick, and we talked about Dad finding a brand new tag team partner in Champagne Jerry Morrow. Now, Champagne Jerry Morrow, teaming up with my dad, created a new faction of what would be known as the Cuban Assassins, but they'll become known as the Cuban Commandos. And Champagne Jerry Morrow's name would now become Comrade Jerry Morrow. And Dad and Jerry Morrow have won the international tag team titles in Stampede Wrestling from Bruce Hart and Brian Pillman. Let's take a look at a match with Dad and Jerry Morrow as the Cuban Commandos defend those tag team titles against the British Bulldogs.
The championship is on the line, and it will be strictly a fight to the finish. It will have to be decided. A disqualification doesn't mean anything. Well, Bulldog, this is mayhem.
This is the match that you've been trying to talk to me for about a week now. This is the match that you said the British Bulldogs are going to breeze through. This is the match you said they're going to lose their titles. Now I'm going to sit side by side with you, Ed Whalen, and when the smoke clears the ring, you'll see the Cuban Commandos wearing those belts. I think the British Bulldogs has been overrated for some time, and they haven't been meeting a lot of stiff competition.
You ever stop for a breath? You ever stop for a breath? I don't believe a word of what you're saying. You're watching the British Bulldogs, obviously challenging for the International Tag Team Championship belts. They're in the ring at a combined rate of 476 pounds against the Cuban Commandos. 473 pounds, not much difference in weight. The Commandos consisting of the Cuban Assassin and Comrade Jerry Morrow. The Bulldogs, of course, Davey Boy Smith and the Dynamite Kid. A cage match. It has to be a fight to the finish. Disqualifications don't mean a single thing. Dynamite going after Jerry Morrow, and he grabs the strap from him while Davey Boy Smith tries to run the Cuban into the cage, and the Cuban decides not to cooperate. Good clothesline by Dynamite. It's a great combination, these Bulldogs. 1, 2, only a 2 count there. I haven't seen a cage match in a long time.
Well, you know, cage matches are very, very brutal. I'll tell you, they're made out of wire. They're parts of the cage is steel. And I'll tell you what, you get your head knocked up against those things, hey, you'll see stars for some time. It's just a brutal match, but I like it because I'll tell you what, I come from where it's always brutal, you know, from the United States of America. And I'm going to tell you, I like the Cuban Commandos. I know that your version's different. British Bulldogs is probably the greatest thing that you've ever saw. But believe me, Ed Whalen, they'll get the cookie tonight.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm surprised that an American would be in love with the Cubans. I don't think that's normal behavior for most Americans.
That wasn't very nice of you to say.
Well, I'm just throwing that in. Look out! Watch this! Oh, bango! Caught him in the back on that cage. Meantime, Dynamite Kid is having his problems against the Cuban. Davey Boy Smith, the action heating up.
You see what they have to resort to? They got a belt around his neck. If they're so great and they're so wonderful the way you say it is, why don't they go in there and wrestle these guys instead of using an illegal object?
Well, it's... I don't believe you, but the illegal object was brought in by the Commandos. My dear sir, I want to recommend a certain optometrist to you. We'll do that after the fight. You are watching, yes you are, a steel cage match for the International Tag Team belts. The champions, the Cuban Commandos, The challengers, the British Bulldogs, and right now the Cubans are up top on both sides, both counts.
Well, you know, I've met the Cubans. I saw them wrestle right across the country. I've never did see them in easy matches. And lo and behold, here tonight, what do I see again? A big cage match, another brutal match. So I say, hey, yeah, they got their hands full, but the bottom line, Mr. Whalen, they are the champions.
Well, that's true, but for how much longer? That is the question. The Bulldogs working, the Cuban in some problem areas in the corner. Pile driver coming up with dynamite! He dropped Morrow. Dynamite cannot run, or rather Davy Boy cannot run the Cuban into that steel screen. There is no time limit on this thing. There are no rules, really.
5 minutes, John. 5 minutes.
And we're at the 5-minute mark, but knuckle dusters were being used by the Cuban on the leg of Davy Boy.
Yes. Well, Ed, what match are you watching? I haven't saw no brass knuckles.
I'm talking about your optometrist. You got a problem, Buster. Where's he going? Is he trying to get out of here? I think he's trying to get out of here. Oh, no. Oh, look at this. Oh, no. Oh, wow. Headbutt. Has he got him? Oh, Morrow dropping from the top. Meanwhile, Davy Boy was getting bulldogged on the far side.
The Dynamite Kid seriously hurt. He dived off the top rope, and he hit that hard body of Jerry Morrow. That's like cement anyways. He's hurt, and if Jerry gets up, he can take an advantage of it.
Oh, no! Davy Boy hit it! Davy Boy hit it! Davy Boy hit it! It happened!
I can't believe
It happened! Yes, it did!
What happened?
Your new international tag team champions are the Bulldogs!
I can't believe it.
Believe, Buster, believe!
I just can't believe that they lost the titles. I'm sure the British Bulldogs did something.
Now, as time was going on, my sister Cindy and myself were growing, and we were getting bigger as we were growing into our teenage years. And as I was growing in my teenage years, I was kind of skinny and a little scrawny, but only within a couple years of my teenage years, I started developing facial hair, and I started getting a little bit thicker in mass size and started kind of being a little bit more muscular. And I started working out and getting a little bit of definition on my body here. And back in 1988, when I was 17 years old, I got to be part of the 3rd annual Johnny McCarty Benefit Show. Let's take a look at that first time I ever been in front of a live audience performing type of a Chippendale routine, but not really. Let's take a look at that dance routine right now.
And have I got news for you.
this is a time period where I really got into working out and lifting weights in my life. This is where I really wanted to be kind of like a bodybuilder in sort of a sense, because the action stars on TV was Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger at the movies. And I've been trying to keep my physique and working out and trying to dedicate myself to this regimen and give myself a physique, because I started noticing that people were giving me attention and they were paying attention to me, and they were a lot different to me as they were when we were kids and younger. So I really worked hard trying to get a physique, and I was getting myself masculine and muscular and building a good physique. And then I eventually got myself to a really good big size. Once I got myself to a really big size, it really meant a lot to me. But then after about a year and a half of doing all this working out, then all of a sudden it was time to prepare for me to graduate from Oak Hill High School in 1989.
Hey, Stella! I would now like to introduce you to the individual members of the class of 1989 as they receive their diplomas. Richie Lee Acevedo. Michael Shane Alexander. David Arthur Allen. Congratulations to you, the graduating class of Oak Hill High School of 1989.
In the meantime, as my dad was making the news as being one half of the Cuban Commandos in wrestling, and he and comrade Jerry Morrow as the Cuban Commandos were still wrestling up in Canada at this time, but this time they were wrestling for Emile Dupree's Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling.
Is a one fall, the 60-minute time limit for the North American Tag Team Championships. Introducing the current North American Tag Team Champions, the Cuban Commandos. First from Martinique, weighing 243 pounds, Jerry Morrow. His tag team partner from Havana, Cuba, weighing 235 pounds, the Cuban Assassin. And the challengers in this match, first from Montreal, Quebec, weighing 235 pounds, Phil Lafleur. And his tag team partner is from Dorchester, New Brunswick, weighing 250 pounds, the Beast. And your referee for this match, Bernie Richard.
Well, this is the match we've been waiting for on the program, the main event with the North American Tag Team belts on the line. The Cuban Commandos defending against the Beast and Phil Lafleur. This is the first get-together for the Commandos and the Beast since that dastardly attack that we saw on television last week when an awards presentation was ambushed by the likes of the Cuban Commandos. They were involved where they should not have been.
You know, Gary,
even going so far as to hit the Beast and Leo Burke with the congratulatory cake.
You know, you never cease to amaze me. You somehow have a way of seeing everything different than what really happens. The Beast and Leo, sure, they were out here with some goofy cake. The Commandos came out to see if they could maybe help slice it up a little bit, and what happened? Burt and the Beast attacked them, took a tray to them, tried to put their face in the cake, but it kind of backfired on them.
Well, of course, that is not what happened. And now let's concentrate on the match, Rotten Ron Star, as Phil Lafleur has Jerry Morrow in a pile of trouble, and Morrow gets out, and here's the Cuban Assassin, and there we see it.
What do you see?
There
His back
we see
pocket?
it. We
What?
see the object. Cuban Assassin definitely concealing an object.
Where?
He stuck it in his pocket.
Stop it, Gare. Stop it. The man was doing nothing but trying to get his opponent to come in after him, trying to sucker him in like a rabbit into a cage where to get him in the corner, and the two of them do a little double teaming on him. That's all.
Well, I must compliment the ATV camera crew for picking up that shot of the Cuban assassin going for the foreign object. We'll have to watch to see if it becomes a factor later in the match. Now, here's the Beast.
Shooting the man off by the hair, pushing him with the hair. Had a handful of the hair, snatched the man down, illegal from the day as the day is long.
Here's the Beast now with the Cuban assassin, and
you know, I think the Beast should quit messing around with those plugs he calls racehorses, send a few of them to the glue factory and get in the gym where he can get in shape to fight people like myself and the Cuban Commandos.
There goes the Cuban assassin. And Jerry Morrow really doesn't want to tag in here against the Beast. Morrow very reluctant to climb into the ring as the Cuban looks for a quick exit.
All the people in the building here tonight, a near-capacity crowd here at the arena here in St. John tonight, they're all starting to yell for the Beast to go, go, Beast, go. I wish he would. I wish he'd go right on out the door and keep on going.
Beast and Jerry Morrow locking horns in the center of the ring, and Beast has Morrow down, and
with a kick to the kneecaps, might I add.
And a tag, and here comes the Cuban assassin for more punishment.
Now, see, that's the way you take a man down. A collar to elbow hookup and powered the man down. The Beast is supposed to be so almighty strong, but did you see that Cuban assassin locked up?
I saw the Cuban assassin grab the Beast by the hair, and the Beast somewhat upset.
Again,
there again, by the hair.
No.
You have to watch the match to know what's going on, Ron Starr.
I think we're watching a different match, Gear.
And you can see the fire starting to burn in the eyes of the Beast. Well, there,
Did you see the hair?
I saw the hair.
Well, it's about time.
And I think that the Beast was only giving the Cuban what he had coming to him.
But just remember, there's an old adage, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
We'd like to say hello to all the shut-ins watching these matches from all over the Maritimes. Hope to see you out to World Grand Prix Wrestling very soon. And here's Jerry Morrow flipping, flying Phil LaFleur, but LaFleur comes right back on top of Morrow with a pin attempt.
There, Jerry shows some wrestling ability there. He hooks the man by the ankle, takes him down. Oh, a vicious kick behind the head. You know, I'm not sure that's a legal move. This man, LaFleur, uses a lot of Sarati.
You don't like it because LaFleur used it and it worked.
I don't like it because it was an illegal move. If I kick a man in the stomach, the referee chews me out. If I kick him behind the head, the referee chews me out. But somebody like the Beast, Leo Burke, Phil LaFleur, or this Casey kid can go in there and do anything from use a Gatling gun to a kick behind the head, and it's all right.
Once again, referee Bernie Richard checking the Cuban assassin for a foreign object. Our camera crew did detect some sort of object in the Cuban's hand earlier in the match, but he has yet to use it, although we do suspect it is still concealed on his person or with his partner, Jerry Morrow.
Nice move. The Cuban goes for a backdrop. LaFleur lands on his feet, comes back with a clothesline and two drop kicks.
That's why you call him Flying Phil LaFleur, and he's ready for more. Come on, Jerry Morrow, get into the ring. Well, LaFleur will bring Morrow in the hard way. And down goes Jerry Morrow as LaFleur backs him into the wrong part of town. Here's a tag, and in comes the Beast. Beast starting to stomp away on Jerry Morrow, and now he'll go down and apply a headlock, and here's a shot to the face.
Right in the chops. Right in the chops. Now, you're going to tell me that's legal, Gear? Come on, tell the people what the Beast is doing.
Let's talk about the courage of the Cuban assassin in some question as Morrow went to tag and the Cuban pulled his hand away.
Well, you know how it is. Discretion is the better part of valor. You just got, sometimes you have to back off. You know, if your opponent is equal, you fight him. If he's superior, you evade him. If he angers easily, then you anger him. And I think that's exactly what the Cuban's trying to do, is anger the Beast where he'll make a mistake. Once he makes that mistake, then the Cuban's going to go in there and take it to him tooth and nail.
Here's a tag, and back comes Phil LaFleur to face Jerry Morrow, one half of the defending North American Tag Team Champions, the Cuban Commandos. LaFleur whipped off the ropes. Here comes LaFleur over the ropes as the Cuban Assassin was able to use that top rope in such a manner. And now here's Morrow running at LaFleur with a chair.
Catches him right under the ear, across the ear, and then down into the jaw area. I think that's going to maybe be the end of Mr. LaFleur. That should slow him down, keep him on his feet for a while.
Flying Phil LaFleur grounded temporarily after getting attacked by the chair delivered by the likes of Jerry Morrow. Now Morrow in the ring taunting the Beast as LaFleur tries to struggle back into the ring. Here's LaFleur back in, looking to tag with the Beast, and Morrow intercepting him, cutting him off at the pass.
Got a reverse chin lock. Looks like it's locked in there pretty well. The people are screaming.
Well, no wonder it's locked in. Morrow's got a piece of tape he took from his wrist, and he's tied it around the throat of Phil LaFleur, and he's cutting off the oxygen supply.
Gary, now you tell the truth. Can you see that on the monitor? Do you see a piece of tape? You show me where it's at.
Underneath the left arm of Jerry Morrow, and you're going to see it as soon as Morrow releases the hold, or if LaFleur passes out from lack of oxygen.
It looks like that may be the case, too. His eyes are starting to look very glazed. He doesn't seem to have any power. His arms are waving in the wind.
There's that tape.
Where?
You can see it clearly.
No, that's around his wrist, Gary.
The evidence clearly in view as Jerry Morrow gestures towards the audience. Cuban Assassin now back in the ring, working away on Flying Phil LaFleur.
You know, a few weeks ago, Gary, you asked me what it was going to be like being in the same dressing room along with the Cuban Commandos after having to face them in so many matches in the past, and I told you I didn't know exactly at that point that I was just going to sit back, take notice to see what happens. Well, I got news for you. I've got to admit it has been one of the best privileges anybody could ever have bestowed on me to be in the ring or in the same room with the Cuban Commandos. I have learned so much listening to these men in the dressing room, listening to all their tag team tactics and things that they talk about, little mistakes they point out to me. And like I said, it's just been a real privilege. They've even asked me about coming in a six-man tag team.
How much did they pay you to say that?
It's nothing. It's the truth. That's all. I've never been known to be a liar or nothing. I tell nothing but the truth.
Here's Morrow coming off the top rope as LaFleur tried in vain to tag up with the Beast.
See, that's what makes these guys such a great tag team, is he's trying to tag the Cuban Assassin, reached out, hooked him around the waistline, pulled him back just enough for Morrow to come off the top rope and bring a double sledgehammer down into his back and stop him dead in his tracks. That's what makes these guys so good. They wait until their opponent is just about there when he knows right there in front of him, and then they stop him. And that has a way of really putting
Jerry Morrow whipping LaFleur off the ropes, a backdrop, and here's Morrow now. Here's Beast coming in to help interfere as LaFleur was able to kick out.
And that was the right word, interfere. Oh, a vicious move there. LaFleur grabs a double handful of hair in the back of LaFleur's head and just snatches him straight up in the air and snaps him like a sheep.
Morrow whipping LaFleur off the ropes, and here's a sleeper hold, a hold that Ron Starr calls illegal, but here's Jerry Morrow of the Cuban Commandos using it.
It depends on who's using it and how it's locked in, Maxwell.
Beast was able to break it up, fortunately for the team of he and LaFleur.
This is a hold here that some people call the surfboard or bow and arrow, where you pull both of the arms back and plant a knee or a foot right in the middle of the back and pull back on it, and it has a way of just really putting a lot of pressure into the upper back in between the shoulders and a lot of pressure on the shoulder joints.
Off the ropes, here's LaFleur, and there's the tag that LaFleur was trying to make.
Beautiful back
spinning kick. And the Beast is on the warpath.
You know, I got to admit that LaFleur sure knows how to use his feet. It may not be the most legal moves.
Here comes the Beast. He's cleaning house against the likes of Jerry Morrow.
With illegal punches.
And the Cuban Assassin.
Come on, Cuban, let's go.
Beast with a pin attempt on Morrow before the Cuban is able to interfere. Now LaFleur comes in to help take care of the Cuban Assassin. the Cuban Commandos
A double arm whip.
wind up getting smashed into the ring with each other. Beast has a bear hug on Jerry Morrow, and now Cuban Assassin is in there to get a hold of the Beast as Morrow works away.
Dumps LaFleur over the top rope. Cuban Assassin's holding the Beast down. Jerry Morrow's dropping the headbutts into the midsection, into the rib cage. LaFleur's had the wind knocked out of him. He's down on the mat. He's not. Look out! Look out!
Referee Bernie Richard has called for a disqualification after Cuban Assassin and Jerry Morrow were 2-on-1 on the Beast in the center of the ring. Here's Leo
Burke's
Burke.
got no business being in the ring. He's lucky that I don't get in there myself and straighten things out.
Burke able to come to the Beast aid. Referee Bernie Richard calling it a no contest match because of all the interference that went on as far as both teams was concerned. And as a result, we have a no contest involving the Cuban Commandos and the Beast and Phil LaFleur, which I think is exactly what the Commandos wanted because they retain their North American.
Next time on the Cuban Assassin Podcast, we'll talk about me venturing up north to Emile Dupree's Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling, where I will start my professional wrestling career. The Cuban Assassin Podcast is written, produced, edited, and directed by me, Richie Acevedo at Mountain Man Productions. Special thanks goes to Ben Hilton for the opening and closing demographics of today's podcast. Special thanks also goes to Hart Brothers University and also to Rene Dupree and the Gauguin family for the wrestling film footage used in today's podcast. Special thanks also goes to my mom, the late Yvonne Dempsey, for all the family photos used in today's podcast, and also to Hart Brothers University for some of the photographs used in today's podcast. You can reach me at mountainmanproductions@outlook.com. That's capital M for Mountain, capital M for Man, and capital P for Productions at outlook.com, or you can leave a comment. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Cuban Assassin Podcast, and we look forward to see you next time, right here on the Cuban Assassin Podcast.